April 24, 1570. Cairo, Egypt. Dawn never fully arrives. Smoke hangs low over the city, thick and unmoving. The streets are choked with dust and ash. Somewhere beyond the broken walls, artillery thunders again, deep, rhythmic, relentless, not the scattered roar of medieval siege engines. This is something new, something industrial, something final. Inside the citadel, the last Mamluk Sultan stands in armor. Tuman Bey too does not flinch. He knows what waits outside. The Ottoman army has already shattered his forces once at Marj Dabiq in Syria. They have marched across the Levant like a storm. And now, they are here, at the gates of Cairo. His commanders whisper options: retreat, escape across the Nile, live to fight another day. He refuses. Instead he orders a counterattack, a desperate gamble. He will ride out, lead from the front, strike the Ottomans in the streets, turn chaos into advantage. It is the kind of decision that wins legends, or ends civilizations. Outside, Sultan Selim, the first of the Ottoman Empire, waits, cold, methodical, unyielding. He has brought cannons, he has brought janissaries, he has brought a new kind of war. If this moment breaks differently, if Tuman Bey holds Cairo, then the Ottoman advance into the Arab world collapses. The holy cities of Mecca and Medina remain beyond their reach. The balance of power in the Middle East shifts perhaps for centuries, but history is rarely kind to the desperate. And in the smoke-filled streets of Cairo, two worlds are about to collide. This is the Ottoman-Mamluk War, and this is the war that gave the Ottomans the Middle East. But one question still lingers. How did a warrior elite that ruled for nearly 3 centuries fall so quickly to an empire that had only just begun to understand the full power of gunpowder? The early 16th century is a world on edge. Empires are not stable, they are evolving. The old order is cracking under pressure from new technology, new trade routes, and new ideologies of power. To the east, the Safavid Empire rises in Persia, aggressively expanding and spreading its influence across the region. Its leader Shah Ismail is not just a ruler, he is a revolutionary figure, blending political authority with religious fervor. To the north, the Ottoman Empire stands at the height of its ambition. Constantinople has already fallen, the Balkans are secured, Anatolia is unified, but Sultan Selim I is not satisfied with consolidation. He wants dominance, absolute dominance, and to achieve it, he must look south. Because between the Ottomans and total regional supremacy stands a rival power that has ruled the heart of the Islamic world for centuries. The Mamluk Sultanate. The Mamluks control Egypt, Syria, and the Hejaz, the region that contains Mecca and Medina. They command the most critical trade routes between Europe and Asia. Spices, silk, and wealth flow through their territory. They are, in many ways, the gatekeepers of the Middle East, but their strength is also their weakness. The Mamluk system is built on a military aristocracy, elite slave soldiers trained from youth, bound by loyalty and discipline. For generations, this system has produced formidable cavalry forces, masters of the sword, masters of the horse. But while they perfected the art of medieval warfare, the Ottomans embraced something else: gunpowder, cannons, firearms. The nature of war is changing, and the Mamluks are slow to adapt. At first, the tension between these two powers is manageable. Rivalry exists, but it is contained. Then the Safavids intervene. Selim I defeats Shah Ismail at the Battle of Chaldiran in 1514. Using artillery and disciplined infantry to devastating effect. The victory is decisive and revealing. Gunpowder wins wars. Selim learns this lesson completely. But the Safavid threat is not fully eliminated, and the Mamluks positioned between the Ottomans and the Safavids begin to look less like a neutral buffer and more like a potential liability. Diplomatic relations deteriorate. Trade disputes escalate. Accusations fly of harboring enemies, of interfering with supply lines, of betrayal. War becomes not just likely, it becomes inevitable. Because in this new world, there is no room for two dominant powers in the Middle East. Only one will remain. Selim I is not a man of compromise. He is ruthless, calculated, intensely disciplined. Even before this war, he has already secured his throne through blood. He deposed his own father, eliminated his brothers, consolidated power with absolute precision. To Selim, hesitation is weakness. His strength lies in clarity of purpose. He sees the strategic picture in its entirety. The Safavids to the east, the Mamluks to the south, trade routes, religious legitimacy, territorial continuity. He does not just want victory, he wants inevitability. Psychologically, Selim is driven by control. He is methodical but not cautious. He understands risk but embraces it when the reward justifies it. He trusts systems, disciplined infantry formations, centralized command, coordinated artillery. He believes war is evolving and he intends to be at the forefront. Opposing him is a very different kind of leader. Tuman Bey too is young, charismatic, and deeply respected by his troops. He represents the best of the Mamluk tradition: bravery, honor, personal leadership. He fights alongside his men. He inspires loyalty, but he inherits a system already in decline. Internally, the Mamluk Sultanate is fractured. Power struggles among emirs weaken cohesion. Political intrigue distracts from strategic clarity. Tuman Bey faces not just an external enemy but internal instability. And while he understands the threat posed by the Ottomans, He is constrained by tradition. The Mamluk military elite resists change. Firearms are viewed with suspicion. Cavalry remains the dominant force. Psychologically, Tuman Bey is caught between worlds. He sees the storm coming, but he does not fully control the forces needed to withstand it. This is not just a clash of armies, it is a clash of mindsets. Adaptation versus tradition. Centralization versus fragmentation. Innovation versus legacy. The build-up to war is rapid and deliberate. Selim moves first. After securing his eastern flank against the Safavids, he turns his full attention south. His objective is clear: neutralize the Mamluks before they can align with his enemies or disrupt his supply lines. Intelligence plays a crucial role. Ottoman scouts map routes through Anatolia into Syria. Supply chains are established. Artillery is prepared for long-distance movement, an enormous logistical challenge. This is not a raid, it is a full-scale invasion. The Mamluks meanwhile scramble to respond. Their forces gather in Syria, preparing to defend key positions. But coordination is inconsistent. Communication between commanders is slow, strategic unity is lacking. Geography becomes a critical factor. The plains of northern Syria, particularly around Aleppo, offer open terrain ideal for cavalry maneuver. This should favor the Mamluks, but Selim sees something else. Open terrain also allows for the effective deployment of artillery. He plans to use it decisively. Imagine two giants, poised on the edge of a cliff. There are still moments, brief, fleeting, where diplomacy could pull them back, but the mistrust runs too deep. Both sides prepare for war, and neither truly understands how quickly it will be decided. The date is August 24, 1516. We're on the plains of Marj, Dabiq, just north of Aleppo. The air is dry. Still, two colossal armies face each other. On one side, the Mamluks, tens of thousands of elite cavalry, their armor gleaming, their reputation legendary. For centuries, these have been the most feared warriors in the entire region. On the other side, the Ottomans, disciplined, organized, and equipped with something the Mamluks dangerously underestimate: gunpowder. The battle ignites with movement. Mamluk cavalry surges forward fast, aggressive, confident. This is their art of war: shock, impact, close-quarters combat. Overwhelm the enemy before they can even react. And for a moment, it seems to be working. The Ottoman lines begin to shift. Dust billows into the sky. The ground trembles under the thunder of hooves. Then the cannons fire. A wall of sound, a concussive shockwave rips through the air. Horses panic, screaming, rearing up. Formations that were a moment ago a perfect spearhead now break into chaos. The Mamluks have faced arrows and projectiles before, but not like this. Not on this scale. Not with this terrifying coordination. Janissaries, the elite Ottoman infantry, step forward, firing their muskets in disciplined rolling volleys. The battlefield transforms in an instant. The Mamluks' greatest strength, their speed, becomes their greatest vulnerability. Their unstoppable momentum dissolves into a confused scramble. Communication breaks down. Commands are lost in the deafening noise and choking smoke. And then comes the turning point. A key Mamluk commander, perhaps betrayed, perhaps simply misinformed, withdraws his forces at the most critical moment. The Mamluk line collapses. What was a powerful attack becomes a desperate, chaotic rout. By midday, the battle is over. The Mamluk Sultan, Ul-Ghari, is dead. Syria is lost, and the road to Egypt is now wide open. The aftermath is swift and devastating. The Ottoman forces, riding a wave of momentum, push south. City after city falls. Any resistance is scattered and uncoordinated. The psychological impact of Marj Dabiq is immense. The Mamluks, once seen as invincible, are shattered. Their aura, built over centuries of martial dominance, evaporates in a single day. Back in Egypt, a new leader rises from the ashes. Tuman Bey II is determined to resist. He rallies what remains of the Mamluk forces, desperately preparing defenses, trying to adapt to this new, terrifying form of warfare. But time is not on his side. The Ottomans are already on the march. In January 1517, the final confrontation begins near Cairo. The Battle of Ridaniyya. Tuman Bey, learning the bitter lesson of Marj Dabiq, attempts a defensive strategy. He fortifies positions, prepares ambushes. He understands now that a head-on charge against Ottoman artillery is suicide. But his strategy falters in execution. The Ottoman forces are masters of maneuver. They outflank his defenses, approaching from unexpected directions. And once again, their artillery plays the decisive, brutal role. The battle turns against the Mamluks with shocking speed. Cairo falls, but Tuman Bey does not surrender. He retreats into the city itself, launching a fierce guerrilla-style resistance. For days, the fighting rages in the labyrinthine streets. Close quarters, brutal, personal. This is no longer a conventional battle. It's a desperate last stand for a dying empire. Eventually, he is captured. He is brought before the victorious Ottoman Sultan Selim I. He is offered terms, a chance to submit. He refuses, and he is executed. With his death, the Mamluk Sultanate, a power that had shaped the Middle East for over 250 years, officially ceases to exist. The cost of this war is staggering. Tens of thousands dead across multiple battles, entire regions destabilized, ancient trade networks thrown into chaos. But the political consequences are even more profound. The Ottoman Empire absorbs Egypt, Syria, and the Hejaz, the Holy Land of Islam. With this conquest, they gain control of the sacred cities of Mecca and Medina. Sultan Selim assumes the title of Caliph, positioning himself not just as a political ruler, but as the spiritual leader of the entire Islamic world. This changes everything. The Ottomans are no longer just a regional power. They are a global empire. Economically, control of the Red Sea and its vital trade routes strengthens their hand against the rising European powers. Strategically, their territory now connects 3 continents: Asia, Europe, and Africa. For the Mamluks, there is no recovery. Their system collapses. Their elite warrior class is dismantled or absorbed into the new order. An entire way of warfare, an entire cultural identity, is erased in less than 2 years. At the heart of this dramatic collapse lies one critical mistake: the failure to adapt. The Mamluks fundamentally underestimated the revolutionary impact of gunpowder. They clung to the traditions that had served them well for centuries, but they failed to recognize that the very nature of the battlefield had changed forever. This wasn't just a technological gap, it was a strategic blind spot. They didn't integrate firearms into their armies effectively. They didn't restructure their command systems. They didn't anticipate how artillery could reshape an entire engagement before the first sword was even drawn. And when the moment of truth came, they were utterly unprepared. Sultan Selim, by contrast, embraced change. He didn't abandon the traditional strengths of his army, but he augmented them with new, powerful capabilities. He understood that war is never static, and that survival depends on evolution. In this way, the Ottoman-Mamluk War becomes more than just a historical conflict. It becomes a timeless case study in transformation. It's a lesson repeated again and again throughout history. Those who adapt endure. Those who do not, disappear. The legacy of this war stretches far beyond the 16th century. It marks the beginning of Ottoman dominance in the Middle East, a dominance that would last for 400 years. It reshapes global trade, altering the economic balance between East and West. It even accelerates the age of discovery, as European states desperately seek new sea routes to bypass Ottoman-controlled territories. And militarily, it cements the supremacy of gunpowder weapons. From this point forward, disciplined infantry, coordination, and technology would define victory, not just cavalry charges. The parallels to our modern world are impossible to ignore. Time and again, history shows us the same pattern. Established powers, confident in their traditions, are confronted by emerging forces that embrace innovation, and so often they fall. In the end, the streets of Cairo fell silent. The smoke cleared, the banners hanging from the walls changed, but the lesson remains etched into the stones. Empires are not destroyed in a single battle. They are undone long before, by the decisions they fail to make, the changes they refuse to see, and somewhere, in the echo of that distant cannon fire, one question lingers. If the Mamluks had adapted, would the map of the world look the same today? Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next dive into history. See you next time.